This morning I want to do a session on Fibonacci and patterns. Patterns they are very interesting, and there is specific ways to design these patterns, to go about these patterns. It's not just whatever we want. Always remembering is that what the majority wants, because the market involves a lot of people. Here we have the ES from yesterday. This is the ES from yesterday. And so I opened my chart and I saw that this was below this. So this being below this, I look at it and well, it's not a deep retracement. It went beyond a deep retracement. We can see that it closed with the little dots. It closed below. So what is this area? I automatically drop a line, and what I did with my keyboard is I shrunk my chart. And after shrinking my chart, I scroll back, and here is the answer. See? A deep retracement. Because it doesn't matter if the pattern is way today or over here, it doesn't matter. That's a deep retracement. Does everybody understand it doesn't matter where this is up here, from here to here, it's a deep retracement? Do you understand that? You don't have to drop a Fibonacci. I have 2 yeses, 3 yeses. Okay, the question is not, the question is, what is the area? Right? That's the question. What is the area? All right? When someone says eventually it retraces, well, my goodness, that's not what we're discussing. We're discussing what is this area? Is there an answer? Yes, there is an answer. It went below here. For example, if you would drop me a retracement from here to here, and it went through that deep retracement, which would have been this area here, there is a reason. There is a reason. And then the next thing we want to do is look. So if I was working with a deep retracement from here to here, market ran up, pull back. So I drop a retracement from here to here. It went right through my green line. It went through my yellow line. And so now, when if I was holding this short here, for example, could I know right here, holding this through here, can I know, do I have a bear flag? See, here's something else that I'm always on the lookout. I'm always on the lookout. There is immediate, how do I put this? There is immediate responses. And there is, how do I say this? Okay. The market does certain things in degrees. There is the immediate intersection that things can stop. There is the next intersection that things can stop. And there is the ultimate intersection or ultimate destination. Everything goes through levels. So, when I have a foot here, is this a strong foot? So we got the heel, we got the instep, we got the ball of the foot. Is this a strong foot? Is this what we are looking for as something that is powerful, that has a lot of horsepower behind? Yes or no? Okay. Matthew says no, because it's not, the instep is not strong. It's not deep enough. Doc says no. Randall says no. Rob says no. Very good. Frank says no. Okay. All we had was 1 dB. Have we had 2, 3, you see, have these dBs come in through here and then come down, then you could expect more than 3 dBs on this reel. You see, you would expect. Now, you still got the foot, and being from underneath, you did get your 3 dBs on a reel, which is a number we look for. Does that make sense? So this picture did do what it's supposed to do. All right? So when I notice that we have only 1, then I'm going to be now paying attention. So when I'm over here, and several things happen here. It hit, it bounced. It hit, it bounced. It hit, is bouncing. Well, is this going to be support, or does it want to break down? Does it want to come? It's like it keeps testing this area. From here to here, I got another deep retracement. From here to here, I got another deep retracement. If I really look at this, it's just not there. So now, is it this area or is it this area? Once it starts to drop, by the way, this kind of picture, going long here, it's like, okay, I'm going to go long, but I'm going to adjust my boundary because it's just, is it not? Is this just a huge bear flag? Is this just a big bear flag? It did its thing. It did its thing. And so after doing its thing, it started to drop. So it's not that okay, from here, it starts to drop. Right there. That's a sign of a bear flag. So then the next one comes, and boy, it's still dropping. Even though you side by side, and this one close above this one, this BB still stayed below. Danielle sent me an email, and she asked the question. She said, is the BB position based on the ball position of the bar? Is the MACD position based on the ball position? It cannot be. It cannot be based on the ball position. The MACD is actually an average of 2 moving averages. So if the BB was to be dropped on the bottom at the same activity as the ball, where it closes, the ball here on the bar, then the BB would always be identical to the bars. That makes sense, right? That makes sense, everybody? Then we wouldn't need a MACD, because if it does the same thing as the bars, then we don't need this indicator. But because it's an average, the BB can drop in a different place than the ball can close. So the BB here can drop in a different place and the ball can do it. Because this one here closed there, this is where it was. The next one closed up, but the BB stayed below. Everybody can see what I'm talking about? So, especially when you are in an area, you know, one of the things that really makes people tired when they're looking at the market and makes them tired, confuses them, and gets their mind very blurry, is that people are looking at every BB and every bar. People are looking at every BB and every bar. For example, let's say you took a long here. Once the long takes off, I no longer pay attention to every BB or the closing of the bars. Especially if I had a target and it's measurable, I don't pay attention to where the bars close. I don't really pay attention to the way they are shaped. I just look at a general, if that's the way to say it. I'm looking at them moving in a direction. Unless I get to a certain area, for example, like here, and I notice, oops, we're not closing above. What does my MACDs look like? Okay, we close above now. So even if it pulls back, we're still going to go push back one more time. And then I let it go. Does everybody follow that scenario? I am looking for the bars where they close, and I'm getting more specific once I hit that area. Now, if I had a huge bar that took place or something unusual, then I'd want to pay attention. Other than that, it's just like I'm cruising down a highway. Everything is the way it's supposed to be. All the traffic is moving the way they're supposed to be. Everybody got the distance. So I'm not gonna sit there and, am I too much inside this lane? Too much inside? How many feet is the other car ahead of me? I don't do that. That'd be very tiresome, right? But that's the way people trade. People just get so hooked on every little buy, every little move, and that is great when you are doing historicals. Okay? That is great when you are doing historicals. Because at historicals, you are placing all this detail in there. But then when you go from the historicals to a live market, it's just like driving your car. And I really hope everybody can understand what I'm saying. Historicals is extremely important that you go notice all the detail. And once that's ingrained, you no longer have to do that. Okay? So looking at this here, I'm going to see, you know what? It's still pushing down. It didn't go up with it. So the averaging is down. Comes through here, hits here. Well, if it hits here, closes there, what is this telling me? If it's going to reverse, it's going to take several bars here. Because then this thing could be support here. This thing here, you would need several bars here for this thing to really start to reverse. Even if you push from here, it's going to hit here, it's going to bounce back. I have plenty of time to go long here. The point I want to make is that by the time I hit here and hit here, is it going to be now a double bottom? This don't look like a double bottom. So this market is looking at a different area. So once you start hitting here and here, oops, if this thing grabs the rail, it's going to go down. So it's definitely don't want to go long here. There we go. So this market is looking at, this market is looking beyond this retracement. That's the point I want to make. But you can see it coming in a MACDs. Does everybody follow what I'm saying? And once you get to these areas, that's when you wanna pay. I mean, you wanna pay attention when you start getting to these areas. What is really the communication? And of course, this area was a deep retracement from many days back. Matter of fact, was a deep retracement from so you got 1 day, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 days back. A really deep retracement for 15 days back. All right. Okay, what does this do for me, knowing this? What this does for me, it tells me that I have no business whatsoever getting upset about the market doing what it does. The market is always right. If somebody is going to be wrong, and I'm going to use the word wrong, it's always going to be me. And the reason for that is because I have two eyes, where the market has hundreds of thousands of eyes. So I have two eyes looking and analyzing this, and the market has thousands of eyes looking at it. So when something doesn't pan out the way I'm seeing it, I am not going to be upset. I'm not going to be disappointed on myself. I'm just going to get excited about finding the answer. If I choose not to be upset with myself for making what we call a mistake, then my mind's going to be at peace. My heart's going to be at peace. And that opens up the avenue for me to find the answers and learn something. And really build a confidence that, you know what, as long as I am doing my analysis, I'm going to get it. I have it. I mean, as long as I'm doing my analysis, I'm always going to be a winner. I'm constantly a winner in this market. What this does for me, what this did for me, it really got me convinced that there is always an answer. And so if there is always an answer, then as long as I devote energy to that answer, I am always a winner. Okay? Well, we got the home plate. We got the home plate. Not only we got the home plate, we have a shoulder, and we have a head, and so the whole picture is there. Okay, the whole picture is there. So now, a couple other things here. Yesterday, I was looking for a big short from this area. I said a big short was coming, and we were in class. We were talking this area. I knew a huge short was coming. I knew a huge short was coming because of this huge separation. How many of you were here where I talked about a huge? I told you a big short is coming, and right after we left class, it was working its way down here. Everybody remembers that. Now let's look at the difference. See, this is where I know that when this is really separated like this, and we got this, this market is ready for a big reversal. Question now is to time it. It's ready for big reversal. Question now is to time it. So at first, insinuation of a shoulder right here. developing a shoulder here, potential head. And this is about where we finished class, was somewhere around here. The market actually produced a shoulder inside. There's the head right here. You can use all this as a second part of the shoulder. That idea of the shoulder right there. The market finally pushed up, created the head, dropped down shoulder, and all the way down. If I measure this, that's it. It broke out this way. So I'm going to put it down there. Excuse me, I'm going to put it down there. And the market hit that target. I always measure the left side. And as long as the market hits the first target, that's what we want. Second target would have been just a little bit lower because the difference in the shoulder ain't that much from the bottom of the shoulder. Put that there. Then the second one was down here. And here's the thing. The market exceeded that target. The market exceeded the first target and the second target. Is that okay? Is that okay with me? As long as the market hits my first target, that's my first thing. And then from there, I analyze, is it going to hit the second target? Okay, is it going to hit the second target? Yeah, if the MACD said yes, then that's fine. It went beyond. Well, why did the market go beyond? Does this mean that this pattern did not work? Because the market went beyond the target, does this mean that this pattern did not work, or it means that it worked? It means it worked, right? So this was a pattern within another pattern, a pattern within another pattern. And then yesterday, Shane's been working on some home assignments that he's posting on the forum, by the way. So there's information on the forum in the website. We want you to start getting active with the forum because a lot of your lessons, charting lessons, going to come through the forum. Please take the time to read the instructions. Please reply the answers according to the instructions. So if the instruction says reply the answers to Leanne, you reply just to Leanne. If the instructions say reply the answers to Shane, you reply just to Shane. If it's to me, you reply just to me. So please read the instructions so things go smoothly, meaning that we don't have to do extra things when things could have been done properly from the first time. Okay, then I'm looking at this, and I'm saying, all right, this would be a lesson plan, and we were talking about taking pictures. What we want to do is take pictures. Like, for example, take a picture of this here, and then put the questions, what you think it's going to happen, and then send you the answers. So one of the things about these lessons that you're going to be receiving, it's going to be about you get the lesson, you answer the questions for yourself, and then 3 days later, we send you the answers. You reply to us only if you have a particular question. But we are not asking you to send us the answers because we're going to send you the answer, and then you're going to see for yourself, was your answers in line with the answers that you're supposed to have? Is that clear for everybody? Understand what we want to do here? So I'm asking you to please take the time to read the emails, and read emails so you'd have the answers. Okay. Now, so I'm dropping this here, and of course, I'm looking for that deep retracement as the market runs through, and the market reverses. It went to that deep retracement that we just discussed, pushed back up. The other thing I'm looking for, pushed back up, produced another shoulder. If I measure the shoulder from the top to the bottom, measure the left shoulder, then this is the breakout of that shoulder. Then if this is to be a shoulder, head, shoulder, then the target would be this here. Now, one thing I want to do back here, which I haven't done yet, is knowing that I'm breaking the deep retracement. By the way, use retracements 90% of the time. Use retracements 90% of the time. Every time I can use a retracement, I'm not going to use an extension. So I want to make that very clear. Every time I can use a retracement, I am not going to use an extension. Knowing that looks like we're breaking through the bottom here, and not wanting to scroll back so many days and squeeze my chart, the next thing I would do is I would work with extensions. So this is my last 3 points. I'm breaking down through here. So then I would plot it there, plot it there, plot it there. See it? Pull back bar, bottom. That deep retracement from way back there is 100% extension from the last 3 pivots. So this is one road, that's another road, that's another road. I'm not going to use this one here because this is a road, intersection here, small, small. I'm not going to use this one because this one is greater in size than this one. So can everybody see why I would use from here to here and look at the precision? It is wonderfully amazing, Matthew. My objective here, look how precise this pennant. Look at this pennant. This is what's called a pennant. They call this a pennant. Look at the way the market is constantly designing patterns if we really stay focused. There's a pennant right there. My objective here is to get every person who is a part of this family to have the foremost desire to slow down, to be very observant, and to really notice. Really notice. Because the answer is always in front of us. But if my mind is so busy trying to catch a trade, and so the key thing to develop this is this is something you start right from the beginning. Right from the beginning, the idea of trading to see if you can do it, that idea, you want to discard it and replace that idea with analysis. Exactly what I'm doing here. What I'm doing here is the most powerful principle of learning how to conduct business with a market. It's getting this really ingrained into me. Okay, now, the market, now I have a shoulder, head shoulder to the upside. And that's the target. So if I take my Fibonacci retracement, this target does not meet the 50%. So what I'm going to do, but there's two things about this target. So the 50% is right here. That's the 50%. So this is the 50%. Looking over here, that's also what? That's also a deep retracement, correct? So from this last pivot, that 50% is also a deep retracement. So knowing that I got a deep retracement, knowing that I have a deep retracement and a 50% from the top, I'm going to be very, see, that's the time I'm going to really be looking at my picture. And I'm going to be looking at my MACDs in a lot of detail as I'm approaching that area to see they already separated, there is already divergence. So when I get to that area, I don't have to think much about it. I'm going to realize that by the time I get there, I don't have to think much about it. So that's definitely. Now from here, can I see that once I hit this target, for example, what's going to happen here? By hitting this target alone, I need to really pay attention because it looks like I'm going to have divergence. Doesn't it look like I'm going to have divergence? Can everybody see it? Can you see the divergence taking place already? All right, so now the question now is once I get up here, what's going to happen in the Bollinger Band? Is am I going to go through it that now I could have a foot? Can you see a foot manifesting? Can you see a foot manifesting? Separation. Instep is deep. So we can see that foot manifesting right there, right? I can see that foot manifesting. But let me ask you something. If I was looking at historicals without looking at the market live, could I see the same thing? I could see the same thing, couldn't I? Of course I could. So this is why when I study in detail. See, this is why when I study in detail. I'm going to notice the detail. Because noticing the detail, it gives me the opportunity to see. See, I'm going to notice that as this thing is pushing right through here, I'm going to notice divergence. I'm going to notice if this bar gets up here, I'm going to have divergence. So by me looking at historicals and really noticing the detail, that's how it makes it possible for me to be here when the market is live and notice what's going to happen before it happens. There's no question. I mean, I can look at this, and I can see what's happening here. So if I can see what, I don't have to look at this here to see what happened here. I can see what happened here. I can see that the diversion's already taken place. So now this is a significant area for me here. Now, did I notice I just closed above this here? If I notice I just closed above this area here, why would I not expect to go to it? See, this is when now I stop paying attention. I pay more attention. Okay, so it's pushing up. Okay, let it push up. All right, now it's closing above. Well, I know it closed above. I don't have to focus on it now. We're still pushing up. am I going to go through this area here? At this moment, I expect to go through this area. Why? Because that's a target. Because that's a 50%. This is a pattern target. This here is a 50%. So I expect that to happen. Next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to measure this from the pullback. Now I can go to here and here. That was 100% from this run. But this area is greater than this area. So I'm going to place it there. Well, placing it there puts 100% between the 50 and the pattern. Another reason why I would think we would come into this neighborhood. See it? Overlapping the pattern can get me to the 100, which now the 100 gets it's like a magnet. Being on this 100, the 50% also becomes a magnet. Okay? So we are looking here, of course, at the 4181 chart. We're looking at the 4181. Now looking at the small time frames, now. Oh, let me do something else with this extension. Looking at the small time frames really dictates to you what's going to happen. So let's do it. I did this extension from here to here to there, placing the 100 right there. But if I go right to the tip this time, it puts the 100% right where the 50 is. See it? So the neighborhood should be up here. All right, we use the pullbacks as always the immediate. Always the immediate. Well, if I got this thing placed on a pullback, I know by extending it, that's the 100. By extending it, that's the 100 right there. Please do not fuss. You always go with a pullback. So now it gets up here and it gets a little bit higher. That's okay. That's okay. You still got the 50, and you can see, there it is. There it is. So, playing with 100 from the bottom, playing with a 50 from the top, playing with a pattern, with the shoulder pattern, it all conveys that we're coming up here. It all conveys that we're coming up here. All right. Now look at this. It's pushing off. It's pushing off. It's pushing off. What can happen here? Could you have a bulge underneath? Not a foot, but could you come from underneath and still push up and go back up? Yeah, you still can do it. We're going to let this be, and I'm going to talk to you about a wedge. And a wedge is something that, for example, it began here, hit the top here, so push back up, doesn't touch, doesn't touch, doesn't touch, touch, touch. Because if I went like this, it broke the bottom. It didn't close, but it broke the bottom. So, is this really a wedge? I'm going to measure this wedge, and the way you're supposed to measure the wedge is you go from the inside like this. Now, if I take this and put it up there, this sweetheart did not work. Did not work. It wasn't, that's not the wedge. That's not what they were looking at. That's not what they were looking at. Of course, if you were expecting that target, once you got through here, you could see it's not going to go. Once you got here, you could see that the drop in a pullback, it was a bear flag, a lot of divergence. So you knew it wasn't going to go there. And I had made this several days ago. So now let's look at this differently. It is a wedge, but it's not a strong wedge. It's not that wedge that compresses. When a wedge compresses, when things compress, when a tip gets really tight, that's when you get the strongest impulse. The wider it is, the less the impulse. So now I'm going to measure this from here. See, those are the 2 points of contact. See it? See what can you see it? See what I'm doing here? I got 2 points of contact, 2 points of contact. What you do here is you measure the middle. That's what they were measuring. That's what they were measuring. I always look at this as a person is sitting there and deciding, okay, this is the way we're going to do it this time. This is what we're going to do this time. Okay, let's see if they can figure it out. All right? Let's see if they can figure it out. But you do not measure the back of the wedge. Okay? You do not measure the back. The back is not what you measure. All right? You measure the middle. Because in reality, the price went from this point to this point. See what I'm saying? The price went from this point to this point. So if the price went from this point to this point to this point to this point, what's the middle? See what I'm doing? If the price went, so you take this average to this average to this average, you take the middle, because this thing did this. So see if you see what I'm doing here. Went from here to here, back to there. Okay? So this middle here, and the middle you pick this point. If this pushed back up and the price hit there, and then pushed back down, hit there, you still measure that middle there. Because you got, this is the back, this is the middle, this is the end. Right? And you know that's what it is because that's exactly what it did. Right there, broke out. Broke out. That's it, right there, see it? All right. You never measure the back. I don't care how big the wedge is. You never measure the back. You measure the middle. The middle, to measure the middle, it's the same thing as measuring the left shoulder. That's always your primary target. Okay? A wide edge is almost like well, a wedge is a wedge. This is not really a strong wedge, but a wedge is a wedge. And I was looking at this a few days ago, and I was looking at it like this. That's the way I was looking at it. See, I was looking at it like that. That's the way I was looking at it. And, no, I'm sorry. I was looking at it like this. That's the way I was looking at it. Too far off, 2 hits too far off. Nah. If this one had come here, now if this one had hit here, and then this, so if this one came lower and I did this, and the next one came lower like this, then in this case, I would be measuring it this way. In the middle, putting in top. See, but that wasn't the case. Now, the other thing I want to do here is I want to look at I love doing this stuff. I really enjoy sitting here and analyze things like this. I really enjoy sitting here and analyze things like this. Okay, so now I look at this, and this thing closed above the 61. Now, when it closed above the 61, you expect a pullback, and you expect to go to the deep retracement. That's what you expect. So, it did not go to the deep retracement this time. Could we have seen, based on this picture here, could we have seen separation came from the side, so the coming from the side still pushed back. That's what it does, push back. Could we have seen that it wasn't going to go? And of course, the market didn't open until down here. Somewhere 9:30 will be down here. Oops, 9:27. We knew we were going to go to that deep retracement, right? See that? Yes, Danielle. You could also ignore the lonely bars. Absolutely. Ignoring the lonely bars, you got your deep, right? See it? The point I want to make here is that there's so many ways for you to see it. Does everybody understand what I'm saying here? There's many ways you can see it. This is why you cannot get stuck with just one thing. Does that make sense what I'm saying right now? I'm showing you so many different ways to see things. But if we get so fixated on it has to hit this target, or it has to hit this Fibonacci, or this has to do exactly this. By the way, that's very mechanical. That's what I call brute. All right? Do you ever watch a person dance that is brute? Brute in the sense that has no rhythm whatsoever, that stumps the feet. It just has no rhythm, there's no gracefulness. Okay, Ferdinand is saying laugh out loud. That must be him. But do you understand what I'm saying? You watch a person dance, and it's very rough. It's very rough. But that's because, I tell you what, a person that dances, that is rough dancing, that person has not really allowed themselves to let go. Okay? Because I believe that every person can really have rhythm if they really let themselves. And in fact, it's the same thing with trading. Having that rhythm, and that rhythm, it's like follow the partner. Follow the partner. Okay? Rob, very good, Rob. Rob says, this is the part that makes it hard for computers to do all of the trading. Absolutely. A computer is a machine that doesn't feel anything. It's just, okay, hits number 3, bang. Hits number 8, bang. It's not seeing. The computers are not. It's an average. It's an average. If you actually really looked at a software where the computers are computing to produce results, yeah, a person can manage to make 20% a year, 30% a year. Most of them don't give that kind of results. But those computers go through so many losses, okay, before getting the one that really succeeds. And they still, a lot of them still stay ahead of the game, but it's through, you'll be amazed how many strikeouts they go through before they get that one. And so that minimizes a lot of the potential of the profits they could really have. A human being can outperform. A human being, let me put it to you this way. A human being that's very much doing what we're doing, a human being that is capable of not staying, how do I say this? A human being that it's not about the money, it's not emotional, okay? A human being that is not emotional. Hey, look at where this thing is going, guys. See it? A human being that is not emotional definitely can outdo any computer. Okay? Can everybody see that a human being can outdo a computer? All right. You take care, Jason. A human being can always outdo a computer. What does it require? It requires that person to be very. It's all about the technicals. It's all about the technicals. That's what it's all about. And a human being that stays with the technicals will always outdo the computer. Okay. Now, what will this do for me? What this is doing for me here is putting absolute reassurance on me again as to how well patterns work, Fibonacci's work. Everything is at work. Okay? Everything is at work. This is why it's so important to program your subconscious mind in a way you want, or for the kind of results you want. Because when you program your subconscious mind for the kind of results you want, it's like a computer. It'll do the same thing all the time. It'll do the same thing all the time. You know, guys, I had no plans to be here today. And this morning I'm looking at this, and I said, well, why not? Let's just, let's get together. Let's have some discussions, because I had this head shoulder, and there's the target. Now, what is it about, guys, okay, here's a question. What is it about this head shoulder target that is similar to this head shoulder target? What is it? Okay, so now let me ask you a question. What is it about those two head and shoulders that are very similar? The size, okay. The right one is a little bit longer. What is it? Rob just said something. Rob just said something that I want to see. Oh my goodness, look at that, the size. So, of course, this is not the correct target, but this target, it's the same as this target. See it? The target from this one here, see it? It's the same as that target. Of course, we could not do that. Danielle answered the question already. Yeah, they are mirror images. Here's the thing. This shoulder, head, shoulder target exceeded, didn't it? It exceeded, right? How much? You see the 50% up there? Do you see that? Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating? Guys, if this doesn't excite you, I don't know what will. All right? But now, okay, let me encourage you on something here, if I may. Do you see how observant I am? Do you see how observant I am? Now, I'm not looking for any, listen, let's get one thing straight. I am not looking for, oh, he's so smart. Cut it out. That's not what it's about. I just want to give you an example. Do you see how observant I am? Yes or no? So what's the point? What's the point here? Yes. Be observant. I mean, I'm sitting here, and I notice, you know what? If this is the target for this, but that's the 50, and this is the target for this, and this is the deep, and this, is this not the deep also? Did we not discuss that was the deep? Did we not discuss that was the deep also? And is this not the deep? Is this not the deep of a partial pattern? And is the bottom, is this bottom here not the deep of a partial pattern? See what I'm doing? Do you see what I'm talking about? So this is absolutely beautiful. Yes, it all ties in together. So the question now that I have is, how should I choose to approach this market? So let's talk about this for a few minutes and then we'll finish. If I choose to approach this market with this attitude of noticing things, it doesn't matter. I did not always notice things like this. I did not always notice things like this. And I assure you that 6 months from now, I'm going to notice even more things. Okay? So the thing is this. I did not always notice things like this. But I always desire to notice. That's why I always asked why. Why did you stop here? See, I used to ask, why did you stop here? Why did you stop here? Why here? I used to sit in front of my computer and look at my charts, and I would stay in one area. I could stay in this area here for an hour. It was never important to me to know it all, because if I don't understand this here, then I'm not going to understand this here neither. So I used to sit here and just look at my MACDs, look at the way they were shaped. We call this the picture. How was this picture shaped? Okay, how was this picture shaped? And I used to sit here and look at my MACDs and look at the shape and ask myself, why did you do that? Okay, why did it do that? And because I kept asking why, and every little understanding I received, I got excited. I got excited. Every little understanding, I got excited. And so what that does is that makes your brain, it develops your brain to the point where you're really showing your brain, I want to learn. I want to learn. And my brain just really got engaged on that habit. I want to know why. I want to know why. And once I know why, and I understand why, I can make the choices to do business or not do business. This is a very different approach than the approach that says, I want to short, I want to go long. I want to make some money today. I lost money yesterday. The market's got to give me money back today. I got to get my money back today. Or I made 5 points yesterday. Today I got to do just as good. You see, that kind of mentality takes everything away from the mentality to know why the market did this or this or this or this. Can everyone see my point? Now, if you look at yourselves, and for you to accept this, you need to look at yourselves prior to being here, and even some of you since you've been here, and ask yourself the question, what was my mentality before? Was my mentality about not to lose money? Was my mentality about making all this money? Was my mentality to get back what the market took from me? What was my mind focusing on before? And so if my mind was focusing on the money, how to preserve the money, how to make more money, how to get back what the market took from me, if that was, oh, I can't lose today, oh, I've had a bad week, next week is going to be different, oh, if that was your mentality before, that meant you got to recognize what kind of rewards you got for that way of feeling and thinking and feeling. Compare to this kind of mentality. Let me say it this way. This is doing a job, what we call a job, and getting compensated for it. The other mentality is trying to get compensated for not doing a job. Can everybody understand and see what I'm talking about? Big difference, huh? Big difference, guys. And if you sit back and think about it, and matter of fact, for the next 2-3 days, you just think about what we just discussed, you're going to have a strong will to begin a different approach. You're going to have a strong will to begin a different approach. And one more thing here. Can we see that even if it pushes back here, we're still going to go back up here? Can we see that? Can we see the trailing? Can we see the slowdown manifesting? We can see it. This is what I wanted to share with you this morning.